Right now, I'm living in Dubai. I run multiple 7 and 1 8-figure business. I've got over 100 properties under management, and my kids are happy and healthy. And my wife is literally my business partner. Don't get me wrong, I still work, but I work on my terms now. I decide what I give my energy to. But this is not where my story starts. My story starts with a kid in London whose parents went through a really bad divorce, who got moved around from school to school, who lost his dad, his biggest motivation, at 18 years old. And honestly, everything I've built since has come from one sentence my dad said: having a good job will make you a living, but building a business will make you wealthy. And that's what I've been chasing ever since. From London to a boiler room, from putting £14,000 on a credit card I couldn't afford, to over 100 properties. And if you're watching this thinking you know you're capable of more, but you just haven't taken a step yet, stay till the end, because this is for you. So both my parents came over from Nigeria. They came here with nothing and genuinely built everything that they had through sheer hard work. My mum trained as a doctor, and my dad was always entrepreneurial on the side. Properties, he always had something going on. But before my mum qualified, before any of that was established, what we went through as a family, financially it was rough. 2 people trying to build a life in a country that wasn't home. Money was tight, and honestly, the pressure of all of that eventually broke the marriage. And if you grew up in an immigrant household, you know exactly what I mean when I say what it looks like on the outside after years of sacrifice and what it costs to get there are 2 completely different things. By the time things looked stable from the outside, there'd been so much that went into building that, financially, emotionally, as a family. None of it came easy, and I saw all of it. But my dad, through all of it, the man was fearless, as in genuinely fearless. He didn't take rubbish from anyone. Didn't matter who it was or what the situation was. There was no fear in him whatsoever. And my mum was the same in her own way. Quietly, but absolutely. Someone you did not want to cross. Watching both of them separately in their own different worlds, that built something in me, a quiet confidence that I didn't even fully understand at the time. And from about 10 years old, my dad just kept saying the same thing to me: a good job makes you a living. Building a business makes you wealthy. He said it so many times, it stopped feeling like advice. It just became part of how I thought. I genuinely felt like there was nothing I couldn't achieve. There was just no limit on what was possible for me. And then the divorce happened. I'm not gonna go into all of it, but I went from having a dad who genuinely made me feel like I could do anything in the world to barely seeing him. We moved around a lot. London, Liverpool, Kent, new schools, always the new kid, always having to start over. And my mum was doing all of this on her own, working, still qualifying, raising me and my sister, keeping everything together. I saw everything she put in. And you know what? When you grow up like that, one of 2 things will happen. Either instability breaks you or it stops scaring you. For me, it stopped scaring me, which is probably why later in life I could pick up and move countries after a 25-minute conversation. Eventually, everything did settle down. I reconnected with my dad when I was a teenager. My mum qualified by then and she worked her way up. Everything she earned went into giving us a better start than she had, and I did not take that for granted. School was easy for me, to be honest. I got my A's, but I hated authority. I just did. I remember a teacher standing in front of the class one day bragging about a £40,000 salary a year like it was the greatest achievement imaginable. I was 14. I'd watched my parents sacrifice everything to build something from nothing in this country. That number was not the ceiling, it couldn't be. So I had a dad who made me feel like I could do anything, and a mum who gave me everything she had. It was messy in between, but by the time I was 16, 17, things were getting better. Dad was back in our lives, we were building, and then he got sick. My dad fell ill when I was 16. He passed away when I was 18. And the timing was just brutal. The 2008 crash happened, and basically at the same time, my dad had been highly leveraged and the estate got destroyed by incompetent executors. Everything he'd spent his life building gone. My mum took on the financial burden of all of this, and it eventually ended up with her moving to Canada. My sister went through her own journey. It wasn't straightforward, it took time and a lot of hard work, but eventually she qualified as a lawyer in Canada. That grind is in the family and me. Look, I'm not gonna dress this up. After my dad died, I genuinely went off the rails. Every single weekend involved violence. I was drinking heavily, which is funny to say now because I barely drink. During one 3-month period, I was fighting every single weekend. You know how it goes. You're in the club, you're drinking, someone steps on your foot, and the fight starts. I was putting my freedom, putting my safety at risk, sometimes even putting my life at risk. It got so bad that I actually had a reputation. You know, you look at me wrong, you might end up with a broken nose. It's not something I look back upon with pride, but it's an honest part of who I was and where I was in that journey. And I was someone that was dealing with a lot of pain. And that period bled all the way into uni. I was at Lancaster University doing a law degree, and I was still carrying all of it, still angry, still lost. What pulled me out wasn't really one big dramatic moment. The noise just eventually quieted down enough that I could hear my dad's voice again. Build a business, son. And I want to say this because everyone always assumes losing my dad must have been the worst thing that ever happened to me. And yeah, look, that pain doesn't just go away. It really doesn't. But everything difficult that's happened in my life, I've come to see it as a strength. It's all about how you frame things. The instability growing up means I don't mind moving. I don't mind uncertainty. I'm comfortable in the chaos. I don't mind risk. None of that really scares me because I've already been through things that were harder. And the one thing I held on to throughout all of it was a sentence my dad gave me that drove everything. So I'm 18. My dad's gone. My mum's carrying everything. I've got a law degree to go and get because that's what she wanted for me. But in the back of my mind, all I could hear was business will make you wealthy. A job will give you a living. Lancaster, law degree. I did it to appease my mum. Honestly, I told her straight, I'll do this for you. But in reality, I skipped a lot of my lectures. I didn't put the effort in. I still graduated somehow. Don't ask me how, but law was never going to be my final destination. A training contract, an LPC, years of working your way up the corporate ladder. I was sitting there thinking, how do I make money now? Not 5 years, not 10 years, now. I actually found something called Raw Talent Academy. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands, competing, a proper apprentice-style knockout format. I won it, and alongside 3 other people that I won it with, that I met on that day, I'm still close to them now. Then I landed off the back of that, an IT recruitment job, a boiler room job in the city. It was the Wolf of Wall Street energy. Directors doing cocaine in the toilets, people getting sacked every day. 100 calls a day minimum, stand up and make a call. Project your voice, let it boom out. If I can't hear you on the phone, I don't want to see you in the office. But that environment gave me something that I still use today. Because when I eventually moved into property, making 100 calls felt easy. That was a regular Tuesday. And the boss there, this man had 0 degrees, not 1. He used to literally point at all the graduates working for him and say, how many degrees do I have? Making millions. He didn't even fully understand it. He just hired people that did. He had a house that looked like something off MTV Cribs. And I was sitting there just thinking to myself, my dad was right. You don't need all of the qualifications. You just need the business. Sales taught me everything. How to handle rejection, how to sell, how to work under real pressure. But I was still making someone else rich at the end of it. Leaving the office at 7, 8 p.m. every night. My health was suffering. They told me I couldn't go to the World Cup because someone else had already booked the week off. And I just thought in my head, I genuinely cannot live like this. And the person who made me see it the most clearly was my wife. Me and my wife met when we were teenagers. She knew from early she wanted to be a teacher. She wanted stability, but I wanted everything. But underneath that, she was a hustler. She'd been doing hair since she was 16, but that's not someone who just sits waiting for the right things to happen. That's someone that goes out and figures it out. She's always been a go-getter, someone that makes it happen. We married young in a registry office, a reception at her mum's house. We genuinely couldn't afford anything bigger, so we didn't overthink it. We moved into a room after the wedding and just saved every penny we could. And you know what? This situation about living in a room is so funny because so many friends and family said, I can't believe you're living in a room. I would never do that. I'm here to tell you right now, sometimes you need to stay down before you come up. And living in a room was the best decision we ever made. It got to a stage where both of us were working and we were bringing in about 8K combined between my sales and her teaching. And then one evening we just looked at each other and kind of said, is this it? Is this what the rest of our lives will look like? Working for somebody else. We had a friend in Dubai who kept saying, you could do really well out here. So one evening we sat down, we had a proper conversation about it. When I say proper conversation, I mean 25 minutes. And by the end of it, we decided we were moving. We were leaving everything behind and moving to Dubai. February 2017, I went out first. Tomi followed in April with our first daughter. This woman came out 3 weeks after a C-section and went and interviewed for a teaching job and got the job. Both of us got our first jobs that we applied for out there. Her salary basically doubled overnight. Our combined income jumped significantly, but the money wasn't even the most important thing. I remember driving down the Sheikh Zayed Road in the back of a taxi for the first time and seeing Bentley, Rolls-Royce, all the dramatic car showrooms. If you've ever been down Sheikh Zayed Road at night, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I pulled up to my first accommodation, Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royces, Audi R8s. I couldn't believe it. I was seeing 19-year-olds driving Rolls-Royces. And for me, that was seeing exactly what is possible because it's one thing to know it, but it's another thing to see it. People were building, I was seeing how they were living, and it genuinely changed my baseline for what I thought I could achieve. I don't know how else to describe it. My whole idea and perception of what I believed was normal shifted right there and then in that very moment. And yet I was still grinding away in recruitment, still hitting the same ceiling. My health had started to suffer again. The same corporate game I'd been playing in London, just in a different location, just in a different environment. And here's the thing about Dubai that people don't really talk about. The discontentment you feel out there when you're in a job is actually worse than the UK. Because in the UK, everybody's kind of miserable together. It just feels normal. But in Dubai, you can literally see another life lived right in front of you. The real breaking point came when Tomi noticed I was struggling. She said it broke her. It hurt to watch. So she went away and researched. She found a property mentorship program. So here we are in Dubai, £14,000 on a credit card we genuinely cannot afford. And all we have is this mentorship. a phone, and the belief that we can make it work. The next 4 months were the hardest of my life. The mentor, to be completely honest with you, he wasn't even that good. Because we couldn't really afford it, I had to make it work. My options were plan A and plan A. The desperation to get my money's worth, that's what drove everything. We were working the rent-to-rent model, calling UK agents from Dubai on a +971 number. Back then, not many people were actually living out in Dubai, so agents were genuinely intrigued. It gave us that little bit of credibility as international investors that I wouldn't have had from calling from London or doing business UK to UK business. 4 months of straight rejection. Every single call, every single no, every single voicemail, every single I promise I'll call you back when they didn't, I remembered it. I used it as fuel. Every single no, I saw it as getting one step closer to the yes. And then magic hit. We got our first property. The first property I took on, I never actually stepped foot inside it. The cleaner sent me a video. More work than I'd anticipated, but I charged it to the game. We pushed through. And one thing I want to say to you right now is that everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. We didn't have distance on our side, but we found a way to make it happen. If you want something enough in life, you're always going to find a way. As long as you have internet connection and a phone, you can do business. Everything else is a leverage problem, which meant that the first property that we took, the first 5 in fact, we didn't actually step foot inside of them. It was cleaners sending videos. So like I said, we pushed through and ended up with 5 properties cash flowing from Dubai, around £700 to £800 per property. So about 4K a month coming in, not life-changing money yet, but it was proof that this thing actually works. We had a proof of concept. And the lesson that I'll leave here right now is that if you can make 100 calls a day, you will get results. Business is about volume, and that is genuinely the truth. It's not complicated. Most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they don't do enough of it. So we made the call. We packed everything up and moved back to the UK. Back in the UK, Tomi was pregnant with our second child at this point. Everyone back home had assumed that going to Dubai meant we were rolling in money, but we weren't. We came back, we moved into a small, humble house and put literally everything into the business. The goal I'd set for myself was 10 properties in 6 months. I hit that goal, and honestly, it wasn't even that hard once we were actually there. So we kept going. No holidays, no real luxuries. We treated it exactly like a full-time job. Tomi opened her first salon and was doing clients all day, then switching to property stuff in the evenings. At one point, tenants were literally coming into the salon to pick up their keys, and that was the level we were operating at. And we built a reputation with owners and landlords, paid on time, did exactly what we said we were gonna do, and landlords started approaching us and handing us properties because they trusted us. We didn't have to chase deals anymore. Deals started coming to us, but it cost us things too. Tomi missed our own daughter's nativity play. It was only on the school pickup when Noah asked, "Mummy, why weren't you at my play? I was looking for you, I couldn't see you." I know that moment was a tough moment because we were juggling a lot of things, and on this occasion, we dropped the ball. And that's the version of the grind that people don't really post about on Instagram. The obsession is powerful, but it needs to be channeled properly, or it will start to eat into your relationships. And that's just the truth. End of 2021 was when we secured our first high street office. I remember just sitting there, and me and Tomi just looked at each other like, oh my gosh, this is a real office. Staff are coming in, more manpower, landlords walking into the office. The portfolio was growing faster than ever. And then one day the accountant called and said, "You've hit your first £1 million." We genuinely didn't even know. We'd just been sitting there, counting towards it, working hard every day. We'd just been consistent, working. And when he told us, we just sat there thinking, my dad was right. Properties across Kent, staff, an office, real cash flow. I could have at that point just sat back, and maybe some people would have, but I promised myself something. The Porsche 911 I'd wanted. I remember sitting with my friend in recruitment. His name is Jonathan, still a good friend till today. And we always said, when we make money, we're gonna buy Porsche 911s. And when it finally happened, I couldn't believe it. I drove from London to Birmingham. I sat in the car. I remember just putting the top down, just driving, playing my music loud. I was in disbelief. I really felt like the man. That's probably still till date the most enjoyable purchase I've ever made and the proudest I've ever felt picking up a car. Then a year or two after, the Lambo came. And this one is actually quite a funny story because what happened was I was always talking about it in the house. I want a Urus. I'm going to get a Urus. I was always watching, looking on Auto Trader, seeing the price. And it got to a stage where Tomi just got sick of it. And she actually called the dealership and she did the credit application. She did everything. And she just said to me, "I've done it. Go and pick up the car." I couldn't believe it. All I had to do was make the payment and the car was already approved. This is the bit that I'd never really said out loud before. I just sat in my house and I actually didn't end up picking up the car for about 2 months. I just let it sit there in a dealership. And I can't even really tell you honestly what the reason was. Maybe part of it was imposter syndrome. You know, I was thinking no one I know has actually done this before. I didn't even feel comfortable driving around. I thought, well, how my business contacts and my relationships perceive me? Where would I park it when I'm doing work? And I also remember I had points on my license as well. So it even took some time to get the right insurance policy. But, you know, when I finally did go and pick up the car, That drive home was when it actually became real for me. As I was driving 650 brake, that's when it became real. And one thing I will say is that some people will wear designer and some people will drive certain cars. Some people will finance watches because it's personal, because it's an image. But for me, it's not that. It's just the love of cars that I've had for such a long time. Something my dad had, and it's something he's passed into me. And my advice would always be this: lock in first and do what you want for you, because there's always time for material stuff after. But at the same time, if you like something, make that purchase, because life can be short. When you've earned it, you can enjoy it. Don't feel guilty about it. So at this point, the business is there, the properties are there, the lifestyle is there, the kids are in private school, there's nice cars on the drive, everything is working well. But here we go again. Me and Tomi had that same feeling again, that same feeling that we'd had the first time in Dubai. Is this it? Are we done? Because if we're comfortable, that's actually a problem. So we sat down and we had another one of those conversations, and that led to Dubai 2.0. The difference this time was huge. First time we came, we literally had nothing. The second time, the business was built and thriving. There was less pressure and we could do it properly. We came as employees and we came back as employers. Chef sorted, nanny for the kids, driver, a safe environment for the family, great schools. This is not me retiring, far from retirement. I want to be astronomically clear about that. The business runs, and I'm also building something new right now. But the way I spend my time and my energy is completely different. It's completely on my own terms now. That was everything that my dad was talking about when he said what he said to me at 10 years old. He meant freedom. He meant building something that works for you, not the other way around. Being an architect of your own time. I always say, if you're gonna write the story to your life, make sure you hold the pen. To me, that's the real flex. Not the cars, not the house, the time. That is the real flex. And I think about this a lot, because there's genuinely a version of me that could have stayed in that sales office. A version of me that heard my dad's voice and thought, that's a nice idea, but it's not realistic for someone like me. But I didn't listen to that voice. I listened to his. And now I'm sitting in Dubai with my wife sitting next to me in the business. My daughter's grown up watching us build something together. And every single day I wake up knowing that I'm the architect of my own life. My dad said a good job will make you a living, but building a business will make you a life. He was right. But I'll add one thing to it now. Building a business doesn't just make you a life. It doesn't just make you wealthy. It made me free. And I always say, once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. So all of the manual tasks that you've been doing, once AI is involved in your business and doing it for you, you'll be wondering why you didn't do it earlier. The same way people said, oh, they wouldn't use the internet. Now everybody uses the internet. The same jobs that people thought would exist forever that don't exist now. People that didn't move with the times, they're now obsolete. So the best way to predict the future is to create it. It's to be a part of it. I'm not somebody that ever likes to slow down. My mind is always working. My mind is always racing. And the next 10 years for me look like building new things, adding as much value as possible, and continuing on a never-ending quest to reach my potential. Because I truly believe, and to anybody watching this video, that we all have unlimited potential, and it starts with the questions we ask ourselves and the voices that we listen to. Two different people in the same environment, the same life scenario, can see things differently. The same way that instability and change shapes me to be the best man that I am today could have also broken me. What's meant to break you can also build you. So take that philosophy into every single thing that you do. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. The next 1 year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years is going to happen anyway. So the question I have for you is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do today that your future self will thank you for? So that's my story. From a kid in London watching his dad take on the world, to losing him at 18, to a boiler room, a credit card, after our wedding, 5 properties managed from a different country, and eventually building everything that I have today. I haven't shared a lot of this publicly before, and honestly, there's more that I haven't said yet. Things about the childhood, pain, and the harder years. And that I'll get into over time as the channel grows. But if you're somebody that's interested or you've got value from this video, like, comment, and subscribe. We're about to go on a generational run.